I don't know, maybe because I'm an engineer, I like to know what the scope of the problem is that we're going to solve. What are the limitations? What's the problem to begin with? How deep does it go? All these other, things, normal, maybe thinking people. My car's broken. I need a new one. Well, you just have a headlight out. But I did. Come on, right? So we're talking about false rape allegations, and it's very, very difficult to get real numbers on this because some people just don't really want to have that information out there. Kind of makes their case look bad if it turns out it's 40 or 50% of rape allegations are false, like the Kanin study, which I will link below. It's just like the college campus thing. 1 in 5 women will be raped. It's bullshit. We actually have the numbers. 1 in 5 sounds a lot more alarming than, 1 in 5 women on campus will be groped in their ass at some point. No. 1 in 5 will be raped, which is nonsense. It's complete hogwash. But we know false rape allegations happen. We could think of a few recently, the UVA thing, Gemma Beal, Nikki Avino. There's a handful that do pop up, and some women, like Gemma and Nikki, got jail time, which is what they should get for making a false allegation. That can ruin someone's life with almost no evidence required, especially if you're on a college campus. Now, what have some of the feminists had to say about false rape allegations? Well, Catherine Comins, Assistant Dean of Student Life at Vassar, sees some value in a loose definition of rape. Comins argues that men who are unjustly accused can sometimes gain from the experience. I mean, where does this even come from? Where do these people freaking come from? So we have a story here, a tragic story, 2 of them. A Utah man died after a false sexual assault claim sparks fatal revenge attack. Remember this man's name, Michael Andrew Fife. Mr. Fife was accused of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl on board a bus in Logan, Utah. Shortly after the alleged incident, the 16-year-old called her 17-year-old brother and claimed Fife had raped her. Minutes later, as Mr. Fife got off the bus, he was met by the brother, and the brother beat the crap out of him, and the man died. Mr. Fife is not going to learn anything from this false rape allegation because he is dead. We go to Florida now, where a woman's false rape claim led to a man's death. The false report of a brutal sexual assault set off a bizarre chain of events that left one man dead. The fatal set of circumstances began when Brittany Sorey, a 30-year-old mother of 6, last month contacted police to report she had been sexually assaulted. I would say had been raped. To be specific, it was rape. In her apartment in Largo outside of Tampa, Sorey alleged that a Hispanic man forced his way into her residence and battered her and vaginally penetrated her with a broken broom handle and a box cutter. At the time of the purported attack, Sorey and her husband, yes guys, yes, she's married, Gerald, age 25, they were living in their apartment or their house. In late March, Gerald was arrested for allegedly shoving her to the ground during an argument in their apartment. The dispute, cops reported, was, quote, due to infidelity allegations. Doesn't say which one was allegedly committing them. During the altercation, Gerald allegedly menaced his wife with a Glock handgun. So, this is not Father's Knows Best or Happy Days. This is completely screwed up, those poor children. At the time of the March 24th incident, police noted Sorey was 6 weeks pregnant. Gerald was charged with a felony. But perhaps he's her meal ticket. She decided she didn't want to prosecute, so they dropped the charges. So after making the sexual assault claim in April, Sorey and her husband moved out of their apartment, but allowed a male friend to stay there. It says they were behind on rent and were facing eviction. It doesn't, okay, whatever. As detailed in a court filing, Sorey's friend was in the Largo apartment May 10th when a male neighbor showed up at the apartment to confront Sorey and her husband over money issues. The neighbor, a detective reported, began beating on the front door, apparently unaware that the couple had moved out. With the neighbor banging on the front door, Sorey's friend called and reported the disturbance to the woman. Woman responded by telling her male friend that, quote, the person knocking at the door sounded like the male that raped her. Sori's friend then exited the apartment and attempted to take a photograph of the male subject to give to police. At that point, the neighbor attacked Sori's friend, cops say. During the ensuing confrontation, the friend killed the neighbor in self-defense. It was only after the neighbor's death that Sori admitted to police that she fabricated the entire report of sexual battery and that it never happened. So she claims she was raped by a Hispanic guy. What, do they all sound alike? I mean, seriously, if it was your neighbor, wouldn't you know your neighbor? Hey, he raped me. It was all made up. Has she been charged with anything? Why, yes. Yes, hamster. She was charged with a misdemeanor count of falsely reporting a crime. Released from jail on $150 bond. So 2 cases where the alleged rapists didn't have a chance to learn from the accusation, for they are both dead. James Maxwell, thank you for listening.